Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, Angela Shelton. She is, go ahead, give it up for her, you can. She's a big fan of the Green Room. For those of you that haven't got to see the Green Room, there's pictures being tweeted around. It's a room in the back here where, I don't exactly know what goes on in there. It's where people get ready for their performance, and there's this giant, anyhow, it's not important. That mechanical bull thing, I don't know what that's for, but anyhow. So this woman is very interesting to me because she wanted to be on this stage. And in fact, she has been. Right? Upstairs? Yeah. She's been on the stage. She wanted to create comedy. So she made a movie. Turned out it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny because she learned something that was actually quite sad. I'll let her tell her story. Angela?
I love that I flew over you.
There you go. Take that.
A friend of mine flew me around their Cirrus turbo plane, and I flew over his house. It was very exciting. Totally random. Yes, I have been at the Comedy Store, and I was very funny. I did a whole set about online dating for food. So I was hungry and an independent filmmaker, and I needed to eat. Well, there I am. Oh, God. So, how to change a life in 140 characters. I'm a writer and a speaker and a filmmaker. And I really want to do comedy. I have 3 comedies that I'm doing right now. I'm working on it. Anybody want to invest? Email me, Angela@angelashelton.com. And I did a documentary called Searching for Angela Shelton. And I drove around the country and I met all the Angela Sheltons in America. Everybody always laughed. They're like, oh yeah, I thought it was going to be funny too. My point was to survey women in America, like, who are you, where have you been, and where are you going?
I saw that.
Angela Shelton. And I discovered that 70% of them had been victims of child sexual abuse, rape, or domestic violence. That's not funny. And that also does not mean don't name your kid Angela Shelton. It means that this is a straight up epidemic. I could have picked any name. I could have picked a man's name. This is certainly not a women's issue. This is a people problem. And I have been on the road for, oh my God, 10 years, spreading the message of this movie. I wrote a book about how making this movie changed my life forever. It totally changed my life forever. Somebody gave me the Angela Shelton Foundation for my birthday. It's a very cruel thing to do, to give somebody a nonprofit. I just really want to point that out. But anyway, I have the Angela Shelton Foundation now. And I'm like, you know, what can I do? Basically, when I've traveled around and I've showed this film, I've seen that it doesn't matter what my name was, that child sexual abuse, rape, and domestic violence is a straight up epidemic. Could have picked any name, right? So my foundation works on really inspiring and empowering people to heal and lead joyful lives. Because joy and violence cannot coexist. When you heal and really heal yourself and help others heal, you actually are breaking the cycle. You're not only breaking the silence, you're breaking the cycle forever. And my expertise of being on the road for 10 years is really simple. I can sum it up in one sentence. Stop raping children. Go fuck yourself. I have a meal. I'm just kidding. So I came up with this term because I'm like, you know what? So many people have been in here. I'm not going to even ask you to raise your hands because but so many people have been through child sexual abuse and rape and domestic violence. And if you haven't been through it, you know somebody who has. And you can't tell me you don't. It's like your college roommate, your mom, your sister, your old boyfriend, your old girlfriend. It's just, we all know somebody. This is a straight up epidemic. And it made me really love people. And I'm like, it made me come up with this term, I love you, squish. Because you can't say the word squish and be mad. But just try it. Squish. That's funny. So we started using I love you, squish on Twitter. Because people started telling their stories and sharing their stories and breaking the silence. And squish actually became a hashtag. So like, I love you, Squish. Like, I know what you're going through. I feel your pain. I love you, Squishy, Squishy. And that goes for yourself too, because so many people have been through so much violence, and the main thing I see with survivors is self-hatred and self-abuse, and this like deep dark secret. So many people are silent about this, and I just wanted to make a movie and discovered this whole epidemic. I also have been a victim of child sexual abuse and rape, and I came from a domestic violence household. And one of the Angela Sheltons in my movie was tracking sexual predators, and she lived in the same town as my dad, and we arrived to her town on Father's Day. Like, I'm a screenwriter, you can't make that up. And so, for the Angela Shelton Foundation, it was Sexual Assault Awareness Month, right? Is in April. So don't rape anybody in April. I think that should be like, duh, like every day, but apparently it's Child Sexual Abuse Awareness Month in April. And so I was like, what can we do as a campaign in April on Twitter? And so Oz Sultan gave me this idea, which I thought it was brilliant, because he was like, Angela, you're a screenwriter, write all the stories and share them on Twitter. So I picked 3 stories of all the stories. I mean, I've heard like, God, 30,000 survivors stories at this point. So I picked 3 stories. And I told them on Twitter for a week, and I announced it at the 140 conference. Did anybody see me announce that at 140 conference in New York? I announced that we were going to do this. For 1 week, I was going to tell 3 stories of victims of child sexual abuse. 2 survive and 1 doesn't. But you don't know until Friday, the outcome. So you've got to read it. And it was intense. There was some really intense stories. And I'm sorry. Some people like email me, they're like, I have to unfollow you. I'll be back next week. It's too intense. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's way more intense for the kid who's going through it. Sorry that you have to read a tweet. And stop raping your kids. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. And we did the hashtags. I love you. And Squish. And so we did the hashtag story 1, 2, and 3, S1, S2, S3, if you ever want to go back and read them. And there was also the hashtag never again. Here's what happened, and here's like, I announced this at the 140, and talk about Jeff, Pulver, talk about the me's coming forward. I came here, I emailed you, like, can I please tell the outcome of this? Because the outcome was so extraordinary. First of all, people started retweeting it, right? And sharing their own stories. The Angela Shelton Foundation runs the survivor manual, because perpetrators, believe me, have a manual of how they traffic and rape kids. Survivors should have a manual on how to heal and stop the cycle, correct? So we run the survivormanual.com. And people started sharing articles and finding healing, finding out ways to get better. It was amazing. And then the 1 story that doesn't survive. The 2 stories were amazing, and the happy endings were incredible, and like, yay, you're like, party! And we actually had a dance party. Thank you for coming. It was awesome. We had a dance party to celebrate, because I believe joy and violence cannot coexist. So we had a joyful dance party. But the 1 story that didn't make it, she's still alive. And the tweets were really intense, because she was trafficked by her parents. She was in child trafficking. She was in these trucks that they move around the country, and it's so intense that stuff I know about child sexual abuse, like I just wanted to make a movie, people. I thought it was going to be funny. Oh my God, it's not funny. I wish I didn't know all this stuff, but I do know this stuff. So I have these other people tweeting me and DMing me and telling me like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm reading Jane's story. And I too was trafficked. I too went through this. And I was like, I know. And so I'm IMing them, and I'm talking on Facebook and Twitter to these people who are reading Jane's story. And they're saying, me too, me too, me too. 2 of them, I was like, I should introduce you to, because we're in the same town at various points in your life, and also you share, like, I come from like the C level perpetrator with like the guy in the van down by the river. Like there's the C level, then there's the B, and then there's the A. The C level is my dad, who's like the guy in the van down by the river, getting on the, he gets what he can, literally, his own kids. And then there's the B level that goes after kids that they have access to. They're teachers, they're church counselor, they run Boy Scout things. They have access to a lot of kids.